Rockpit, and I am joined by a little bit of rock royalty at the moment here in Australia. Kim from Dangerous Curves, how are you, sir?
Good, man. Very good.
You'd be very pleased with yourself, just quietly. Number 4 on the Australian independent rock charts, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's a good little mark to have on the on the resume.
There's so many people that wouldn't have that on their resume, just quietly. It's definitely a huge reward for the massive album that you've just dropped, Summertime High. I must say, I've listened to it quite a few times, and mate, it's a catchy album. It's got a lot of fun to it. It's playful. It's almost like a reflection of 80s rock, which I can really see the influences that Dangerous Curves have. Mate, you've blown it away. It's 11 tracks. Was there any idea to make it any more than 11, or was 11 the golden number, or?
Well, we 11, like, you know, you can put 17 tracks on an album, you can do this and that, but you know, when you're an independent band, 11 tracks fits nicely with the pocket. Do you know what I mean? And also it gives you momentum for the next EP or something like that. You know, like you know, it's a well deserved sort of number. 10, 11 tracks, 45 minutes. You know, we're not charging too much for it. And you know, it's easy to play. It's easy to play live with the other catalog. So you gotta play that 11 songs, and you at least, you know, if you got to play another 10 songs, you're kind of like, shit. That's 2 hours, man.
100%.
Like, oh, yeah, you know, it's. But yeah, no, like 11. It wasn't sort of a number that we were sort of striving for. It was a number that it just fell in place. It was like, all right, these 11 songs, these are the ones. Let's get it. Like, you know, yeah.
And they transition really, really well too. Like, you've got a really good mix of your high energy stuff, like the good and the bad, all the way to sort of a little bit slower in the sense of falling off. It's a really good mix from start to finish. How did you come up with the album title, Summertime High?
Well, summertime, like we you know, we were sort of sitting on Foolish Appetite, and Foolish Appetite were like, you know, that was sort of like in the mix, and you know, Foolish Appetite was kind of like, oh, you know, like Gunners did like Appetite for Destruction, that appetite thing. But then when we sort of came up with the album cover and like the artwork and stuff, it was kind of like, oh, you know, Summertime Highs has kind of got that vibe to it. And then when we kept listening through to all the tracks, Summertime High and Summertime, and yeah, it just sort of it had that spark of you know, like a fun energy. So and when you listen to the album, it's kind of like, this is fun to listen to. So, you know, put 2 and 2 together, Summertime High was a no-brainer, you know.
I must admit, you do speak about the album cover. I love it. I love the fact you've got 4 guys parachuting down in a desert island filled with female natives. It's extremely rock star. Very, very cool. Whose idea was that?
Not to boast, but it was all of ours.
It's extremely, extremely cool. I loved it. Now, the music clip for The Good and the Bad, I liked it a lot because it really showcased the cheeky side that every band member had, and it really reflected how you guys just love performing together. You saw that kind of cheekiness, that sort of naughty 80s kind of like rock star, giving the guy in the booth a little bit of lip, saying that we'll do it our way sort of thing. And it translates really well for the song. How did that idea for the music clip come about? Like, was it something you always wanted to have that split of performing plus being in the studio? I suppose the second part to that question is, was there any ideas of a different type of music clip that didn't make the cut?
So that, yeah, like, man, like brainstorming ideas, especially with like, like music videos and stuff, is like, as a band, that is like, we are like fucking, we are on point together. Like, we're
Yeah,
all in together. Like, like with the first film clip, Art of the Heart, we were all kind of like, oh, yeah, we need roller girls, and we need like a steak, like, like a fucking Hungry Jacks or something,
I
doing all that
love it.
sort of shit.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden, like, Lukey's like, man, let's do a bowling alley. And then all of a sudden, that brainstorming sort of shifted a little bit, and we're like, well, that's way more doable. And
yeah,
then, and then all of a sudden, that's how that film clip come about. So this film clip was kind of like the brainstorming process. Like, you go to band practice, and we do the fucking jam.
yeah,
But the other half of our band practice is brainstorming on, all right, we've got a video clip. We need to do a video clip.
yeah,
Let's do this fucking video clip.
yeah,
So, brainstorming on that, like, it's all about the brainstorming kind of. Yeah, that's the thing that comes to it. And then all of a sudden we sort of, someone will throw something out, and it's kind of like, we're not sitting there going, your idea is shit or anything like that. It's kind of
yeah,
like, oh, that idea is cool. What if
yeah,
we can mold it into this idea? And then someone's like, well, what if we do this idea? Like, it's man, we're so lucky to have all of us on board with such open-minded kind of ideas
yeah,
to get it over the line. But like, basically all we wanted to portray on this on that film clip was a live and studio basis. And that studio, we already knew that studio was in Geelong, so we are kind of like, well, fuck it, we'll film it there. And then
yeah,
we wanted to do a live aspect on it as well. And that live, we'll try and actually book Max Watts in Melbourne, and
oh
then do
wow.
like a massive gig day, so that we can get enough money to actually pay for the rental, so we
Yeah,
could video as well. But then we got contacted by Silverback Touring,
yep,
and they said, oh yeah, we're doing a homegrown thing, and we want you boys on it. And I'm like, I've called him straight. I'm like, dude, we want to shoot a film clip. Do you care if we have cameras? So like, killed two birds with the one stone.
definitely, yeah,
Man, the way it came out, and the guys that we had from Armstrong fucking um fuck pitches, sorry.
yeah,
Like the professionalism and stuff that they had, like, film the actual clip
yeah,
and stuff. It was kind of like, man, like, like, where were these guys to start with? Like, we're so happy that we found out who these guys were now, because it's kind of like, man, anything's possible now. And the way that they are with like the film, and it's kind of like, instead of creating that one scene
yeah,
50 times over, it's kind of like, it's not going to work in the first four. Let's just fuck it off, and
yeah,
let's
yeah,
just do another. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it just came out so well. It just, yeah, like, like when we look back on the first cuts of the film clip, we're kind of like, fuck, we've like it. They've done it. They've done it. They've done a good job. Yeah.
It
So,
was a
well,
very, very slick clip from start to finish, and it worked so well from the journey at the start in the studios to having that sort of that story of roller coaster going up and down to get to where you were at the very end of, congratulating Haga on stage. Very, very cool. Is there anything on the cards for any other songs, for any other music clips off the album?
we're talking Nightmare Games. We're talking Nightmare Games because it's just such a different vibe. So like, like shooting a clip like that would, yeah, like I said, brainstorming's like that's going to be like top
Yeah.
caliber. Like coming up with something that's cool, because like that song's based on like it's based on the horror 80 movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, if you listen to it, you can sort of pinpoint which horror movie it's based on. But
Very cool.
yeah, you know, like that's one that was sort of like, well, fuck, what we like to put in our, you know, like the YouTube sort of clips. Like
Yeah.
we got our live clips and stuff to bang a clip like that in there in the mix. People like that's just hoping that opens a whole new ball game for, you know, viewers and stuff. It's like fuck, yeah, it's sort of it's like a no boundaries kind of thing. Like, you know, let's try it out.
Very, very cool. Were there any songs on the album Summertime High that took a lot longer to get on the album, as in the writing aspect? Did you have any that were on the back burner for like 18 months? Or was there one that stood out to you that just might have been on the first album and just wasn't quite ready to then being a part of this album?
Well, like like Good and the Bad is like that was a throwaway. You know, like
Really?
that was not an yeah, that was not a song. You know, and you know, like I read some lyrics to it. It was called like fucking Monster in the Bottle or something.
Yeah.
And you know that those lyrics, they just didn't sit well with how like that riff, because like that same riff was kind of like the riff driven song is what we had
Yeah.
back then. And you know, I read the lyrics, and I think in the frame of mind, like as a band, we were sort of like, oh, you know, like fuck, it's not working, let's just fuck it off.
Yeah.
And it sort of rebirthed as we're writing these tunes for the new album. We'll like, you know, that song kind of popped up, and kudos to, you know, Cammy that writ the riff. He always loved it. He didn't want to fuck it off. But yeah, when Lukey jumped on it, he's like, man, there's something about that song, something about that riff. We need to have it.
Yeah.
So then we revisited it, and I put like new melodies on it, new lyrics on it. You know, the lyrics weren't as, you know, confronting and stuff with it. It was more kind of like, you know, let's write something about, you know, like everyday stuff, like, or, you know, like this and that. And it just turned into that love ballad, you know, they just turned into that. And once we'd heard it come back to us, we were kind of like, holy fuck, this song's pretty good. Like, it's not bad. That's our Bon Jovi.
It literally is.
we called it Bon Jovi till it had a name.
Wow. That's awesome. How now? I know COVID was tough pretty much on the music industry, particularly on the East Coast. You guys did it really, really tough there for quite some time. How did that sort of break with not being able to practice and get out and gig? How did that affect the birth of Summertime High? Because I know you guys don't necessarily live next to each other either. So rehearsing wise, writing, brainstorming, how did you guys adapt so that this didn't slow the process down?
Well, you know, you got to be strong on that fucking messenger. You know, like, you know, Facebook Messenger, the group. Like, you know, if something comes in and, you know, it's like, oh, we need an answer now. We need an answer this. We need an answer that. Like, you know, it's whipping the boys into, you know, going to practice and going, hey, when something comes through Messenger, make sure you fucking answer it. I don't care what you're doing. Just do it.
Just get on it and stay on it.
You have to be brutal that way. But yeah, like, you know, with COVID and all that sort of shit, like, you can fall into a pattern where, well, we're not going to do anything for 2 weeks, so let's just fucking chill out. Like, there's nothing to do. No, fuck no, there's heaps to do.
Yeah.
If you're in fucking lockdown, you can't physically train. Well, then you can physically go onto these messengers and stuff and talk about, let's brainstorm this, let's brainstorm that. What post are we going to put up in the next 2 days? Like, there's a heap of shit to be done. And I think for our band, I think COVID was like like, you know, it's no good for anyone, but it's like a blessing in disguise for like the break that you have from, you know, the normal. to go, oh well, this is a fucking business, and the like social media is a big thing this day and age. Like, man, we're not fucking escaping it. Like, I don't give a fuck who you are.
Yeah.
The social media is like that's the one key point of like promotion and stuff. Like yeah, and it's free. It's free. You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Like, so that's one thing that we've been really attacking is, so keep up on that, keep people entertained, keep people amused, all that sort of shit, building that sides of things. And, like Chris Marrick is sort of our mentor at the moment. And like when he sort of loosened up and told us about these things, it's like we're still slowly adapting. We haven't just jumped on it, but because like if you certainly all of a sudden you just straight up jump on something, we sort of feel to ourselves it's kind of like people will be like, oh, they're just doing this, but like you slowly affect it and twine it in with other things. It's kind of like, oh, they're slowly doing it, and then they're going to start pumping later. Like that's how like, especially that's what social media is, because we're not big on like personal posting and stuff. Like we're not big on that. So to get that to what the band is it's a whole thing to understand, and like algorithms and all that sort of bullshit. There's a lot of shit to get your mind around, but having this downtime, it's a good thing to I'm learning maths and shit. I'm learning how to do these things.
What's your favorite song on the album? Do you have a favorite kid, favorite child, favorite song? What's the one that you really love?
The album? Oh man.
For me, it's Falling Off. I love that song. It's catchy. It's so relatable. It's slightly slower, but it still has that sort of 80s rock mentality to it. I just like it. Just its chorus is catchy as all hell. It really is something that I enjoy. You got a favorite one that you like performing?
I don't know, man. I love Pieces of Your Love. I don't know. There's something about that song. It's because the thing is because it's a bit more sexual.
It works.
I don't know. There's something about it, like the way that I read the lyrics. Because like writing the lyrics at the time, you sort of don't know what you're writing until all of a sudden you're like, let's have a look at it all. And, you sort of revisit a couple of lyrics and go, we'll tidy that up. But then once you read as a full, you're like, fuck, that's a jam. Like, that's some of the lyrics are a bit naughty, like that's, but even all the sort of like the instrumental sides of things, like it's a heavy song, short and sweet. We were sort of thinking about that song kind of like, that song that goes like, I don't even know who the fucking sings it. Is it like it was a party night, it was the end of school, fucking for the first time. So we were talking about that song as being kind of like that, on that same caliber, yeah. So when that was fully written and when we first heard it back for the first time, I was like, fuck, this song's it's just worked out the way that I wanted, and like that everyone wanted it to be. It was like even being in the recording process, you get 3 songs, they're fully done, and then you listen to it and you're like, fuck. Then you listen to the next 3 and you're like, fuck, these are even way better than them 2. We need to go back. And it's like, no, we don't need to go back. Stop it. Let's leave them ones as they are, because they're perfect. Yeah.
If you could take one song off your debut album, So Dirty, right, and that song was able to fit in well with this album, Summertime High, what would that one song be?
Fuck, So Dirty Right, I think. So Dirty Right. So Dirty Right. So Dirty Right's just got like that. It's just I don't know. It's the harmonies are good. The
Yeah.
fucking chorus is bumping. Like it's just one of them songs that's kind of like we're like even now, like when we're jamming, it's kind of like so dirty, right? And then when we start playing it, it's like once we finish, we're like, fuck, that was satisfying. Like you get a certain satisfaction out of playing that song. So that's why I would add it to the album. It's
It's like almost a secret 12th sort of track, so to speak, of almost ending like a Marvel super comic or something to that effect. Now, with the launch obviously being postponed during COVID, and I know you guys have rescheduled a lot of stuff for next Friday, I believe. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
What's
yeah.
What's the next big plans for Dangerous Curves? Like, what was on the horizon before this pandemic hit? What's next for you guys?
Oh man, touring. That's touring is, especially in the home country, man. Like, we've been offered tours to go over Europe and stuff, and they're talking about how much corn it's going to cost. And it's kind of like, man, fuck. Like, we just sort of want to dominate in our own area at the minute. But yeah, like touring's a big thing. Like, we were trying to like organize a tour for the East Coast, go up to Queensland, Brisbane, Sydney, and all that sort of stuff. But especially with the pandemic here, when you say that you're a band from Melbourne, it's kind of like, oh yeah, like it's sort of it just didn't work, and so we sort of like I gave up in the end, kind of thing. I was kind of like, fuck this, like let's just worry about our launch show and what's in front of us in the next couple of months, especially trying to navigate around these lockdowns and like border shuts and like I'm not gonna call like different, like in it, like now at the minute it's almost like fuck, it's like different kind of. I'm not gonna say too many words. It's gonna get me in trouble. But it's
Don't.
it's kind of like, well, you're from Melbourne and we're from Sydney, and you guys are disgusting and we're not. They're like, that's not how it is. It's not how it is. I know that's not how it is. But in saying that, like when the media drives that sort of thing, it's kind of like how are you going to promote like a Melbourne band when fucking like majority are going to be like, oh, Melburnians, they're fucked at the moment, like
I get
it's just kind of, it's a bad time to sort of, it's a real bad time to try and promote and tour around and stuff, especially when you're like, if you plan a tour. All right, fair enough. We got the touring set. All right, now we've got to worry about numbers, and all of a sudden it shuts down again because Melbourne's in lockdown again. It's kind of like, well, fuck, how are we going to push tickets for a Melbourne band going into that? Like, it's fucking, and like, reality is like, oh yeah, well, all your fans are going to come and see you from Sydney. It's like, yeah, like all your fans will, yeah, fair enough. We want people that aren't necessarily our everyday fans to come and check the rock show out. Broaden the horizons. It's very hard to broaden horizons at the moment, man. Like that's why I said like selling the album online at the moment. Like most of them are going overseas and shit. Like, and they're paying fucking massive on shipping at the moment. Like, shipping is ridiculous. Like we're selling that many CDs to Canada. And to Canada, it's like $24 in shipping. We're selling the CD for $20.
That's nuts.
They're paying more for shipping than what they are for the CD.
Oh, if that's not Rockstar, I don't know what is. Just quietly.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and we're sitting there going, we can't do anything about it. Like, that's out of our hands. We can't do that unless we get like like a distributor over there to say, oh, well, let's do this and that. Like, but at the same time, we're just sort of we're waiting for people to put their hands up and go, we'll buy 1,000 CDs off you. And it's like, sweet, like we're the middleman, not fucking anyone else.
Yeah, 100%.
That's that. And that's where you want to be. You don't want a middleman going, we're going to take 80% of this. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, we're not making overheads for what we spent to create these things. Like all the shit's coming out of our own pocket. And like that's how it is. Like we don't have a record label or anything, and record labels this day and age are always in it for themselves, not anybody else. Like it's kind of like, well, fuck, Anyway.
So once you've dominated your side of the coast, is there any appetite to go over to the west? We seem to be reasonably COVID free over here. And I'm telling you,
like Dad said, we'll like that anywhere we can play where people will come and see us. We'll definitely go.
100%. Now, you guys have played and supported some massive acts, but Chocolate Starfish, Bullet Boys, Fozzy, just to name drop a few. I ask you this question. It's a bit of a flip question, right? Devil's Advocate, Dangerous Curves are headlining, 60,000 plus stadium, full to the brim. Tell me 3 supporting artists that you would want to play with you guys, dead or alive. Who would they be and why?
Yeah, right. All
right. So they're supporting you. You're not supporting them. Everyone's coming to see you. Who's going to be the best fit for your fans to see these people? It can be dead or alive, anyone, no matter what caliber. 3 bands, dead or alive. Who would they be?
That is a fucking question and a half.
Correct.
Like that's a hard one, actually. Oh fuck. Are they coming to see us and no one else?
Yeah, if they rock up, so say for argument's sake, your opening acts, Van Halen.
So now we need Poison. We need Poison to start with.
Love
Probably
Poison.
need Poison. We need Poison to start with.
Yeah.
The crowd would be that's the crowd. That's the crowd demographic that we're looking for.
Definitely.
And then like to get that sort of like the boyfriend's kind of like, what the fuck did we come here for? We need someone that's going to be sort of like, fuck. That's a hard one, man. That's a hard one. Poison. It'd have to be Poison to start with.
Yeah.
And then it'd probably have to be
Motley Crue?
Nah, fuck Motley Crue, man.
Okay.
No, no, we love Motley Crue. We love Motley Crue, but like Motley Crue would just steal it. So, we gotta keep that steal. It'd have to be Poison, and then maybe dead or alive. You reckon? Maybe Aerosmith. I reckon.
Yeah.
Aerosmith would sit nicely in between. Yeah, because they're like a rock. They're like the American fucking. They're the American Rolling Stones, aren't they?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Plus, I want to see if Mr. Tyler does order chicks to get shaven and bathed before they come to his tent. And I'll just be popping my head and going, hey, this shit really does happen.
I could write a book about it.
Yeah, like if you could rewind it to the good old days, fucking oath, those two would be the ones that'd be kind of like, yeah, stick, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be the one.
Well, Kim, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I am looking forward to when you guys can actually get out and gig on the road. No doubt this next Friday will be a big one for you. I wish you all the very best. Hopefully we can get that album up to maybe #1 with a little bit of poking and prodding, because I think 4's probably a disservice because it is an absolutely smacking album. I do thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure. It's been an eye-opener, and it's truly been rock star. Thank you very much for producing great music. And thanks for having a chat, mate. I really do appreciate it.
All right, thanks, man. Thanks for having us, man.